Starlink's dreaded data caps are finally here. This is what you need to know. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for once again joining me for tea time. Today we have a little bit of fireside, and that is it. Hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, maybe a cup of coffee, hanging out, talking tech, talking photo, talking video. Today is a tech day. It is going to be a Starlink day. Now, I've been doing a lot of Starlink coverage because there's been a lot of Starlink stuff been going on lately, right? So I've been trying to keep you guys up to date, and something really horrendous happened last night. And I was actually going to go live and talk to you about it then, but I wanted to wait a day to see if we were able to get more information before I just jumped to conclusions. Well, as of today, it seems that Starlink is now going to have a data cap. And we've been talking about this for a lot of time now. I've said that there is throttling going on, and people say you're crazy. I'm like, no, there's throttling going on. Trust me. And yeah, there's throttling going on for sure. But now we found out that Starlink is going to be counting all of your data to know how much data you're using and then throttle you once you get to a certain level, a certain amount of usage per billing cycle. I went onto their website to see if I can get more information about this. I went into their terms of service, all of the rest of this stuff, anything that we can find. And I did find some information where things changed, and that is in their policies. Now, if you look down to their rule or their policy number 4, paragraph 4, there's a couple of things in here that have changed. And this is how we know that data caps are coming. And I want to read this for you, and then I want to give you my commentary on it and maybe ask the question, are we still going to be able to game on this system? Are we still going to be able to watch 4K movies, maybe 8K down the road? I'm going to answer that for you in just a minute, but let's get into this. But before I do, I want to say that if you haven't downloaded any of my ebooks, go check them out. Go over to JCristina.com/books. Once again, JCristina.com/books. There's a lot of free ebooks that you can download, so check those out. Now, let's get into this rule number 4, or policy number 4. It says fair use policy and data allocation per service plan. Paragraph 4, section 1 basically says this is how we're going to manage our network traffic and allocate customer data based on your different service plan. Now, paragraph 4, section 2 is where it gets into the nitty-gritty here. And it says residential service plans. Residential service plans include a monthly allocation of priority access, in quotes, priority access. Under such plan, after you have used your monthly limit of priority access data, you will continue to have unlimited amount of basic data for the remainder of your billing cycle. With basic data, your access will no longer be prioritized over traffic generated by other customers during periods of network congestion. In times of network congestion, users with basic access may experience slower speeds and reduced performance compared to priority access, which may result in the degradation or unavailability of certain third-party services or applications. Your usage between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. will not count towards priority access data limits. See the Starlink Fair Use Policy for details on data allocation and the Starlink specifications for expected performance per service plan. There is a link to the Starlink specifications that we'll go to in just a minute, but let's go ahead and finish this. Now, paragraph 4, section 3 says business and mobility service plan. Business and certain mobility service plans are allocated a certain amount of data for priority access. Priority access under business and certain mobility service plans are given network priority over all other data on the Starlink network, including residential priority access. So certain mobility and business has priority over residential priority, okay? See Starlink specifications, once again, sending us over to a link. See Starlink specifications for details on Starlink expected performance per service plan. We'll get to that link in a second. After priority access data is exhausted each month based on your data limits set per service plan, Starlink will throttle, here's finally the word. They've never used it before. They're using it. Starlink will throttle your upload and download speeds for business and mobility service plans unless additional priority access is purchased. We're now having to purchase priority access. Never used to be a thing. It's going to be a thing. See the priority access data limits and throttled speeds in the Starlink fair use policy for more details. We'll get to that. Business and mobility customers who have exhausted their priority access and not purchased additional data will experience slower speeds and reduced performance compared to priority access. Throttled services will result in degradation or unavailability of certain services or applications, such as streaming video, gaming, or other bandwidth-intensive applications. For business service plan, data usage between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. will not count towards priority access data limits. For mobility service plan, your data usage will count towards the priority access limit anytime that you use Starlink. Interesting. If you're on mobility, all your data usage counts toward that allotment. Paragraph 4, Section 4, tracking data use and purchasing more priority access. We need to know this. You can track your monthly data usage and purchase additional priority access at any time via the Starlink app and on the Starlink customer portal by opting into being automatically charged for more priority access if you hit your data limit. Interesting. So you can see how much you're using if you opt in to paying for it. Data usage per month will also be displayed on your monthly invoice. So you're going to get your data usage monthly. That's it. Once you opt in, you will be automatically billed for additional data used until you opt out, including in following billing cycles. So this will be on in perpetuity unless you turn it off. You may opt out for purchasing additional priority access at any time in the Starlink customer portal. Additional details on priority access fees and billing can be found in the Starlink FAQ, or frequently asked questions, and Starlink fair use policy. We can go to that link also in just a second. And the final section of paragraph 4, which is section 5, states add-on service. Certain service plans allow customers to select add-on services for additional fees per gigabyte. For example, adding transcontinental data, I didn't even know they had this. Adding transcontinental data to your service plan allows a user to access Starlink service outside of the continent of their service address for an additional fee. The Starlink fair use policy assigned to a user's primary service plan, including priority access data limits, will also apply when using these add-on services. All right, so let's go ahead and click on a couple of these links because this is kind of important. So if we click on the Starlink specifications, just to see exactly what are these specifications, how much data do we get? So when we go there, this is what we get. We get a page that says, page not found. Starlink couldn't find the page that you're looking for. Try starting over from home. So obviously this is a work in progress, all right? They do not have this information yet. So we don't know what that X factor is. How many gigabytes, how many terabytes, what are we getting for our allotment, let's say? We don't know. Also, if you click on the Starlink FAQ page that they link in here, which supposedly will take you to more information about priority access in comparison to basic access, when you click on it, it just simply brings you over to their FAQ, to their support page, and not directly to any specific spot, which I kind of don't get. You would think that they would want to send you somewhere specific. So if we just come in here and we type in policy, for example, because we're looking for policies here, we do get a policy FAQ, let's say. And there's a bunch of information in here. And if we go into one that says, what is your Starlink's portability feature and policies? That's the closest thing that I can find. And there was something interesting here that I found was under limitations. So if we go down to limitations, it comes up with best effort service. And if you read this, it says portability service is provided on a best effort basis. Stated speeds and uninterrupted use of service are not guaranteed. Starlink prioritizes network resources for users at their registered service address. When you bring your Starlink to a new location, this prioritization may result in a degraded service, particularly at times of peak usage or network congestion. So keep in mind, they are prioritizing people that have a registered service location, a registered service address. They get priority service. So to me, what this means is everyone is going to be on best effort soon as the data caps are implemented. Think about it. Because now if you are a business or if you're a residential customer and you're at a fixed location, it doesn't matter if you go above a certain set level of use. And once again, we don't know what that set level is as of yet. I wish we did. So what information do we have here? Well, number one, if you use X amount of data, you're going to be throttled. All right? Absolutely, 100%. You're going to have either prioritized data or you're going to have basic data. You're going to start out with prioritized data. Once you hit your X factor or your X level of data usage per month, you're going to be moved to the basic service. And at that point, it's basically just like a roaming service, just like if you had a mobility type of plan where you're no longer going to have priority access and you're going to have throttled access. Who knows what speed? We don't know. Okay. We also found that residential customers' data is not tracked during the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. We also found that business customer data is not tracked during the times of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. But we also found that mobility customers are being tracked always. Doesn't matter when you use the data, it's being counted against you. And once you get past a certain amount, you're going to be throttled. Well, mobility customers are already throttled. They're using whatever the leftover supposedly was of what we're using. The customers that are at a fixed location. We also found out that they will not tell you how much data you're using unless you pay them for that information indirectly, because you have to opt into automatically being billed for priority data once you get past the data cap, that X amount, whatever that is. I think that's kind of nonsense. I think they should be able to show you in the app how much data you've used. There's no reason not to. Why do you have to keep it a secret? I shouldn't have to pay you for that information. It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, there's ways around it, of course, but maybe that's for another video. I just think it's kind of stupid. And like I said, I feel like everyone now is going to be on best effort service, because once we hit that amount of data, that priority data usage allotment, we're now all bumped down basically to mobility or best effort or whatever the hell you want to call it, right? Which doesn't make a lot of sense, because that wasn't the original idea here, guys. That wasn't the original thought. That wasn't the mantra that I heard. That wasn't the mission statement that I heard from Elon. I mean, the mission statement was something like, I want to provide high-speed internet access for rural America, for rural everywhere, for the underserved or the unserved, the people that don't have access to high-speed data, the people that don't have fat copper or cable, as I call it, or fiber. We know that the majority of the people that are getting this service originally were homes, were people that did not have access to high speed. And we're very thankful to get it. We also know that homes use a ton of data. Today, homes have VoIP, voice over IP. They have kids in there gaming. There is 4K video, 4K programming all the time going on, all kinds of streaming. So what does that mean? For 15 out of the 30 days, you can stream your movies, your 4K movies, watch your 4K TV programs. Your kids play video games, and then the other half of the month they can't play anymore and you can't watch your movies? It just seems that way because like they said, some services are just not going to be available because there's not enough bandwidth for you because we're throttling you. It's a problem. It's a big problem because the original idea behind this is for, once again, rural America, rural society that do not have high-speed internet access that want it. I mean, I feel like this is now being run like a cellular network in comparison to satellite or comparison to a fiber or any other ISP. My thought was originally that Elon Musk was going to try to create an ISP similar to a fiber network that you would find or a copper network like Comcast. Whereas now this feels more like mobility. Am I wrong? It feels like a cellular network. But even the cellular providers like T-Mobile and Verizon get it. That's why they come up with T-Mobile Home, right? Verizon Home. What is that? That is basically a 5G signal into your home with no data caps. Why? Because they know you're sitting at your house. The house uses a ton of data. Terabytes, not gigabytes, terabytes. And they understand that. So I really feel that residential and business clients should not be capped. Period. The mobility clients and all the rest of them, absolutely. Cap them. That's fine. But when you're out of a residence or in a business, there shouldn't be a cap. The only thing that we can hope for here is if the data caps are imposed, which they do seem like they will be, is that the data caps themselves are commensurate of the use case, let's say. So a residential would have a different data cap than a business and a mobile and so on and so forth. And I think that they would have to somehow find out what is the average usage, for example, for a residence. What is the average usage per month in a resident in my location, in Florida, in Georgia, in North Carolina, in wherever, right? And then take that and maybe bump it up 1 terabyte and use that as a baseline. Because if not, like I said before, there's going to be people that are able to watch their programs for 15 days and the next 15 days they can't. Or their kids will be able to play their video game for 15 days and the rest of the month they can't. That is just crap. I don't know what else to say. So it looks like you're going to have priority data and basic data. And when you use your priority data and it's all gone, you're going to be throttled with basic data, unless you pay for additional priority data. Don't get me wrong. Every business needs to make money. And I've been with this company now since the very beginning, since beta. And I love it. And I still love it. All right? Do I think that everything they do is great? No. Do I like Elon? Yes. I think he's fantastic. And I do think that he has a great vision when it comes to this. And I do believe that once we see those version 2 satellites up there, I think that things are going to be a little bit easier for the company to, number one, make money, but number two, be able to relax some of these caps because there's going to be a lot more of it and faster. But until then, I think the growing pains are going to continue. And it feels like the growing pains are getting worse and worse. We started out at the beginning of the year with an average of 150 download speed, which now has dropped to about 100. And we saw it. I showed you the facts, the hard, cold facts in one of my last videos. So things have been going downhill, but I'm hoping that they're going to be able to pull in the reins and be able to fix things. The problem that I see is a mass expansion. When you expand too fast, it's very hard, very difficult to maintain. There's so many cogs spinning. They all need oil, right, to keep the machine running how it should. And as we're moving on from residential to mobile to RV, now we have a new one, whereas the RV can be retrofitted with this flat one that gets mounted on there permanently. And now you can actually have true mobility where you can drive around and still get service. You have maritime for ocean, and you see the airlines now getting SpaceX Starlink affixed to the top of their planes. So that's everywhere. It's becoming prolific, which is great. It is great. But once again, as you just expand so quickly, I think it's so important to make sure all those cogs are oiled. And I feel like we're just falling off the track here with this. I feel like they're flailing. They're trying to figure out how to do it and do it properly. And I feel like they're falling back into a cellular type of mental instead of a standard ISP, copper or fiber. So which way do they go? Are they going straight mobile? Are they going cellular? And that's the way they're going to run this going forward? I don't know. I sure hope not. I hope they can figure this out. So in the comment area below this video, I want to know your thoughts. Are you a Starlink user? What do you think about this? Also, how much data is enough data for a residential customer? Some people are going to be like, oh, I only use 500 gigabytes. Other people that, once again, are gaming and watching 4K movies are saying, 6 terabytes is probably what we use on average. What is that middle ground? How much data do you need? If you're a business, how much data do you need? Before we didn't have to think about it, but now we do. Anyways, if you enjoyed this, even in the least, please throw this video a thumbs up. Also, if you want to get more Starlink coverage, check out my Starlink playlist. There's a ton, probably like 90 videos there by now. There's a lot of helpful how-tos, tricks, tips, commentary, what to buy, what not to buy, why to buy it, or why not to buy it, even more important. Check that out. Also, if you have not subscribed as of yet, please consider doing so. And if you have, click this little button over here so when I go live or when a new video comes out, you'll be notified of it immediately. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools I've invented for you and me over the years. And hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. That's it, guys. I'm out of here for yet another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next one. Love you all.